Who told you that the war in Ukraine will end? This is what we'll talk about today. Hello there, I'm Elena. Welcome back to my channel Enough of Propaganda. Please like, share, subscribe. Let's make truth available for everyone. Today is an unpleasant topic. It's about problems about Russian army, about Russia and Ukraine. And literally I am very upset and angry with some media and some so-called journalists who doesn't bother to verify information, or they fell into traps like they have been there before. It happened in 2014, and literally Russian Dmitry Rogozin in his lecture about covert operations and how to psychological warfare and so on, which I showed you in the video about attack on Zelensky, about Russian warfare against Ukraine, about Operation Doppelganger, and so on. We literally proved everything, showed everything, and it was proven many times that even in 2014, journalists whose duty basically to criticize their government, to question everything, they literally fell for Russian propaganda who spoon-fed them information, and just because it happened to be criticizing their government, many journalists voluntarily spread that information and help Russia to cover the hybrid occupation of Ukraine, attack on Crimea, attack on Ukraine in 2014. Now, it's either happening the same thing, some real journalists who did not bother to verify information, and some YouTube bloggers and bloggers in Telegram or even on Twitter, some bloggers, literally doing way better job to actually verifying information, researching information. I am as one of these bloggers. I confirm information from many different sources, include the bloggers. And I don't see all that panic saying about, oh, Ukraine is losing, Ukraine can't lose the war, and this and that. And it's really, really unfair. So Ukraine took huge territory in Kursk region of Russia, attacked nuclear country. Nothing happened, no nuclear attacks back, no anything like that. Russian army tried to do offensive there and they failed. And Ukraine holding huge territory, and I don't see anybody screaming and whining, oh, Russia is losing, oh boy, they have to now fall on their knees and beg Ukraine and get the peace on any Ukrainian offer, take the first offer they have, just because, oh boy, Russia is losing the war. And there are reasons for that. Russia is losing the war. Russian economy is in garbage. And this is proven not by my words even, and not even by words of Vladimir Milov and Lipsitz, famous economists. And Milov used to be deputy of Russian energy minister, but by Nabiullina herself, the chief of Central Bank of Russia, who just raised the interest rate until 19%. And they're gonna do it more, and they're telling about it. Nabiullina literally saying that Russia has huge amount of problems, starting from even working force, that Russian economy can't compete with army, with the salaries they're giving to people just to sign up the contracts with the army. Many people left Russia. Many people are killed in Ukraine. Over 650,000 Russians killed, wounded, missing in action. All of this compile, and now I have information from the fronts, from even Russian Z bloggers who confirming all of these problems. They confirming that Russia doesn't have people to replace those killed people. They can't do mobilization because Putin is afraid for his power and life. So they're trying to use foreign people, try to use the conscripts from the prisons. President, or pretend to be president, I can't call him president, it's just a habit, and it's a bad habit. Russian regime is illegal, Moscow regime is illegal. And yet Putin is sitting in the president's chair and signing president's decrees. One of them, they made a law that now they can, on the stage, when just before even court decisions made, if somebody just get caught with a knife at the dead body full in blood, and literally somebody saw him killing that person, they could say, I'm going to special military operation. So charges dropped and they go into war. The same thing from jails, from the court, before court decision, after court decision. But this is not even covering everything Russia is struggling with. They're struggling with, I have information from even Z bloggers and Michael Naki and several other sources which saying literally that Russia is using space forces for running around in the fields with rusty machine guns, rusty Kalashnikovs or something like that. They're using them as infantry. They're using sailors from the Navy as an infantry. So Russia is throwing everything it has, in my opinion, into the battle. They're squeezing economy, they're doing everything possible just to hold until November, until Trump's election, which Putin's hope Trump will be elected, lift up the sanctions, twist the hands of Ukraine and make them give up. This is not gonna happen. I'm not saying Trump might not get elected. I'm saying Ukraine will not stop fighting and defending themselves. The very idea that Ukraine can give some territories and Putin will stop killing them is ridiculous. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna talk about this today. I'm saying that every army has its problems. Ukrainian army has problems too. We know what they are. It's a hard battles. Russia is throwing everything in the battle right now. I don't see any reserves Russia has. You want to know what problems Ukraine have? One of the problems, for example, is with information, which from the front going to the top. Ukrainians confirming that there is such a problem, but it's not even close to the problem Russian army has with that. Yes, there are problems with some forces recently left where they were located and kind of retreated without command, and even the chief of one of those troops killed himself, in Ukrainian officer. It's a war. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there are hard battles. Russia's throwing at Ukraine everything they have. Yes, United States should give them permission to whack Russian territory with long-range missiles. I agree with that. There are reasons why they're not doing that. We don't know all the reasons, and we don't agree with some reasons we know there are. And I am not agree either. But I am Canadian citizen, and Canada does not put any restrictions. As American citizens, you're welcome to apply to your government and demand this to happen. I demanding it, your turn as well. You do what you can to do that. But please don't spread Russian disinformation. Even it's from reliable sources. I'm saying that you should verify not just sources, but the information itself. Because sometimes reliable sources, which you learn and trust, and you used it many times, and it was fine. One time they posted a bad article, or 2 times, or they were mistaken, or they didn't verify information. Do not fall for the trap, and don't help Putin to spread that disinformation and panic. It's affecting Ukrainians. They really feel bad. Do not make their life harder than it is. If you can't help, do no harm then. Or do like me, verify information from different sources and find out what is actually happening. So far, there is no catastrophe on Ukrainian side. There is no way that Russia can win from Ukraine and all Ukrainian allies. Not by the economy, not by the army, not by any means. You're welcome to provide me in the comments links where you can actually prove that Russia has some sort of a mythical reserves. If they would have them after capturing, for example, Ugledar, they would have continued. They would have rolled in and the front will collapse. Did it happen? No, it did not. Oh boy, they captured Ugledar. This is not a major victory of any kind. And the losses Russia took to capture that, Ukraine may take it back next day, or may not. It's not something major, huge, and after that there is no collapse of Ukrainian front. Yeah, there is movements in Kupiansk and maybe some other places, Pokrovsk territory and so on, of Russia, some microscopical moves forward. Yet it's not even as close to what Ukraine captured in Kursk region, and nobody screaming and saying, oh, Russia should give up now. Please stop panicking and stop spreading Putin's propaganda. And the fact that Russia using absolutely different forces, running around like an infantry, which should not be there and should not be used, is a proof that Russian army, as well as Russian economy, is in terrible condition, and it can't get better. Nabiulina herself admitting that Russian economy cannot get better. This is not gonna happen. They don't have a magical wand to make it happen. Everything Putin has right now, in my opinion, he's throwing in the battle just to grab more territory, because he's thinking that Donald Trump will come and they will get at the table and Putin will try to hold all the territories he got. And for that, whole bunch of Russians and Ukrainians dying on the front every day. And this is all he can hope for. Trump election, his propaganda which convinced Ukraine not to fight, just give up. And Russian propaganda trying to convince foreign countries not to help Ukraine because, oh, it's hopeless, it's useless, it's not gonna work. This is all Putin has hope for. He does not have anything else. Why in the world? Some people still don't realize that. I sure hope the people who are watching my channel know better. I believe in you. What I want to say, that this war is not about territories. It's about Putin's imperial ambitions. And if anybody, include Ukrainians, who I met some pacifists who said, oh, we're against war, Russia doesn't offer anything. Russia isn't ready to have a fair dialogue and fair agreements. Putin broke so many agreements, he lies all the time. You can't possibly trust him. But this is not even the point. Russian Empire, the USSR, Russia, this is what they do. They grab territory and use the people from this territory to attack next territory and grab next territory and use that people to fight them. This happened in Russian Empire, in the USSR. How Russia became the biggest country in the world? By exterminating people who were living there before. And the same thing is keep happening and happening with those so-called republics, Donetsk, Lugansk. This is exactly what Russia is doing there. It's a genocide. They basically killed all the men there by throwing them in the meat grinder. Now they're doing the same thing in new occupied Russian territories. I just saw the information from Kherson government, of Kherson region. Even Kherson city now liberated by Ukraine, but part of the region still under Russian control. So they are saying that as soon as Ukrainians who live there, who now considered to be Russians, turn 18, they're grabbing them and throwing them in the Russian army. Because this is the duty, this is what's happening to Russian conscripts. And they make Ukrainians fight Ukrainians. It happened before, it is happening right now. This is what will happen if Russia will capture territories of Ukraine, or the whole Ukraine. Russia will take all the resources and all the people from Ukraine and make them fight next people. In Moldova, in Baltic countries, in anywhere Putin point finger and will say, go there. This is what will happen. So the same Ukrainians who right now dying for their own country, defending themselves, defending their children, defending their home, defending their lives, as soon as they give up, Putin will not give them peace. He will take them and make them fight in somebody else's country, exactly what Russians are doing right now. And why are they doing it? Because they have guns behind their back. As soon as you retreat, you get shot. This is exactly what's going to happen with Ukrainians. So the people, at least right now, they're fighting and dying for their own country, their future and future of their children. If Russia will prevail, they will die by killing other countries, killing people in other countries, destroying their future and destroying their own future in Ukraine. This is what will happen because it happened before. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Learn the truth and stay informed. See you later.